What's going on, world? And welcome to Clearing the Wreckage Podcast. It's the voice and your host, Kareem A. Rashid. And once again, I don't know what you got going on. You could be getting on the toilet, or you could be getting off the toilet. Hell, for all I know, you could be wiping your tushy. But I know that I'm ready, and so I hope that you're ready to clear the wreckage. Yes, indeed. What's going on with you today, my fellow Wreckage Clearers? What is happening with you? Thank you so much for being here with me today. And as always, I am excited for our another great episode that we are about to have. And we are continuing our series about anxious attachment. So let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? Yes. Now, we're talking about anxious attachment, but today I want to include someone in what we are talking about, because anxious attachment style is my style. As you know, what I was going through, I'm not necessarily anxious attachment style too much anymore as I was back in the past, but that was 2020, and we're in that setting right now, 2020, and between 2020 and 2022. This is where we're at. This is where I'm taking you. This is my story. This is my experience. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. And I'm going to add someone in to this because this person came into my life around that time. And I've been staring at my own history and my own wreckage and everything like that so that I can share it with you, right? So I want to talk about this young lady who came into my life, who happened to be a single mother at the time, independent, incredibly protective of her own world. And me, I was the guy who wanted to be her everything. Yep. And it didn't work. It crashed spectacularly. And for a long time, I blamed her distance. I blamed her focus on her kid. But looking back with a lot of therapy and a lot of painful honesty, I see the real blueprint of our failure. I know exactly why. Because we were trapped in the classic anxious attachment and avoidant attachment trap. Remember, I talked about the dance that takes place, like the cat and mouse dance. So let's talk about it. And let's talk about my side first. As you know, I have anxious attachment style. If you have this, then your biggest fear will be abandonment. You're just afraid that someone is going to leave you. And so when I love with the white knuckle grip, right? So early on, with this young lady, things were good. Things were great. It felt like an addiction. And it probably felt the same way to her because the chemistry between an anxious attached person and an avoidant attached person at the beginning is just like that. But anyway, with that being said, the moment she pulled back even a little bit, my nervous system went into full panic mode. If she took 3 hours to text back because she was dealing with her daughter, my brain didn't see a busy mom. My brain saw a woman who has lost interest. My anxiety told me, fix it, cling tighter, prove your worth. I would flood her phone with messages, ask for reassurance, and try to force some type of closeness. I thought I was just fighting for the relationship. Now, as I look back and realize I was suffocating her. And then there was her. I'm not telling you her name because none of that's important. She had an avoidant attachment style, which I shared with you on the last episode, I think, amplified by the heavy responsibility of her being a single mother. Now, avoidant individuals view self-reliance as survival. They love, but closeness feels like a threat to their autonomy. So when my anxiety flared up and I demanded more of her time and emotional bandwidth, she did what avoidants do best, and that is retreat. She deactivated, her walls went up to protect her peace and her child. And to her, my need for reassurance felt like an unbearable weight. Another person demanding a piece of her when she was already running on empty. And the tragic part of the anxious avoidant dance is that our coping mechanisms triggered each other's deepest wounds. My clinging made her run. Her running made me cling. We were a hamster wheel of emotional exhaustion. And it's taken me some time to get the perspective that I have today, to get the understanding that I have today. For months after that breakup, I was angry. I felt rejected. I felt like she didn't try hard enough. I'm just telling you the truth. This is a really vulnerable and really honest conversation I'm having with you. And that's just what this conversation is going to be. But the truth is that I had to face during and after that relationship with her is that she was not trying to hurt me. She was just trying to survive. And so here's the interesting thing about all of this. After that relationship, I was hurt so much. I didn't understand. I needed clarity. I didn't get it. And, I talked to one of her friends. I didn't really necessarily talk about her or anything like that. I talked about me and how I was feeling. And you know what? I talked to one of her mentors. And her mentor said simply to me, she did love you. She loved you in the best way that she could, the best way that she knew how. And I never really understood that because, see, I see love in a completely different way. But the avoidant person sees love in a different way as well. So during the relationship, I learned just how deeply rooted my insecurities were, right? I realized I was using her as a mirror to prove that I was worthy of love. If she was happy with me, I was okay. Oh, man, I remember it so clearly. If she needed space, I was worthless. I had outsourced my entire self-esteem to a woman who was already carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, and with that being said, a little child to take care of. Since the breakup, the learning hasn't stopped. It's just gotten a little quieter. I learned that my anxious attachment isn't a life sentence, but it is my responsibility to heal. It wasn't her job to cure my fear of abandonment, which I thought it was. It was my job to learn how to self-soothe and say that I am safe, I am okay, instead of burning the house down, right? Remember we talked about that before? Self-soothe, saying to yourself, to your inner child, I am safe, I am okay. And simply because that is all that was being triggered. It was that wound from me being a child when people were not there, when the caregiving was inconsistent. So if you are in a relationship with someone right now who is avoidant and you are anxious, the best thing you can do for this relationship to work and for you to heal is to continue to ground yourself by reminding yourself that you are safe and you are okay. I'm going to read something real quick out of a book that I really enjoy and love. And I'm just going to read some of these things because I want you to just see what exactly I'm talking about. Okay? And this is from a book called Insecure in Love, and I'm going to share the author who wrote it. Her name is Leslie Becker Phelps. And this book I was reading this book while I was in a relationship with this young lady, and this book really helped me with what I was going through. And so the pursue-withdrawal, a common relationship problem. One of the most common problematic relationship styles is the pursue-withdrawal pattern, which emerges between an anxiously attached partner and an avoidant partner. In fact, it is so common that there is a good chance that you've experienced it at some point. It works like this. Each time the anxious partner steps forward or leans in for closeness, the avoidant partner pulls back, which prompts the anxious partner to try to get close again. Sometimes it can be hard to see this dance of intimacy between everyday topics, discussions, and interactions. To get a sense of how this plays out, consider Lucy and Ken. After dating for about a year, they moved in together. Unfortunately, within just a few months, their relationship had become increasingly strained. All right, so Lucy, she says this. So it goes back and forth from Lucy and Ken, all right? So here's what Lucy says. When you come home, you barely even say hi to me, Ken says. Well, I'm tired and need a chance to just breathe. But after I settled in, I do ask you about your day, and you give me the cold shoulder. That's the protest that happens between the avoidant with the anxious person. So the anxious person is trying to receive attention now from Ken because Ken has been avoiding her. And that is from her perspective, right? So that's all I'm going to share with you because that is what I was doing throughout that whole relationship with this young lady. I would text her or I would call and I won't get an answer. And I would think that this was being done on purpose. So therefore, I'm going to do the same thing to you on purpose. So when you call me back, nope, I'm unavailable. And so I just gave you an example of that. That's why I read that part of the book to kind of give you an example of that. And throughout the relationship, I used to deny that. Because she used to call me out and be like, you're trying to punish me. And I used to deny that punishment. No, I'm not punishing you. I just was unavailable. But truly, the fact of the matter is I was protesting. And what that protest behavior is, let me see if I can find it. And I know what it is, but let me see if I can. I'll give you an example from the book. An example from the book of protest. I'm protesting against possible abandonment. That's what I'm protesting against. Because remember, as the anxious attached person, I'm in fear of abandonment. Wait, so I call you and you're not answering the phone. I call you again, you're not answering the phone. What is going on, right? So, being in frequent need of your partner's emotional comfort, right? So so that's being needy, or reestablishing communication, constantly calling or texting, trying to create situations where you would, run into your partner or talk to them, excessively hugging, kissing, or being physically intimate to avoid separation, or trying to make your partner jealous by pretending someone else is interested in you, being distant to entice your partner to reach out. That is what I wanted to get to. That's what I was doing, right? And so that's it. So, I mean, I don't really have much to share with you. I just wanted to kind of, because we're in the setting of 2020 and 2022, and this relationship was the relationship that I had at the time with an avoidant partner who actually had a kid as well. So in that, I also thought that she didn't love me or that I was less important whenever she was taking care of her child. Whenever she couldn't get together with me or couldn't answer the phone or couldn't talk to me, I felt less important, and I expressed that, which then made her feel suffocated. So you see the dance? That's the dance that is being done between the anxious attached person and the avoidant style person. That's all that I have for you today. And until next time, we'll talk a little bit more about, we're going to get into secure attachment style. We're going to talk about that. because that is the place that we all, if we're not there already, that's the place that we all want to get to. I really didn't have much for you today. I just wanted to get a little vulnerable with you. I hope this was a good conversation episode to kind of give you a little bit more clarity on my anxious attachment style and what anxious attachment style is. I love you guys. I will see you next week, okay? And as I always leave you, take some time to look inside so that the wreckage can begin to clear.